Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to the organizing committee who has given me, Rika Fatmawati, this opportunity to deliver a speech on the topic of climate change. I have divided my speech into three sections. First, I would like to talk about what climate change is and what the causes are. The second part will concern about the consequences of climate change. And finally, I would like to address the issue of how we can tackle climate change. Now let me start by asking you a question. What actually is climate change? According to NASA, climate change is a long-term change in the average weather patterns that have come to define Earth's local, regional, and global climates. Climate change refers to both human and naturally produced warming and the effects it has on our planet. Okay, now after we know what climate change is, a new question arises. Who is responsible for this? Ultimately, the causes of climate change are not only natural but also driven by the human economy and business. The role of human activities over the last century, the burning of fossil fuels like coal and oil has increased the concentration of atmospheric carbon dioxide. This happens because the burning process combines carbon with oxygen in the air to make CO2. To a lesser extent, the clearing of land for agriculture, industry, and other human activities has increased concentrations of greenhouse gases. In its fifth assessment report, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change concluded there is more than 95% probability that human activities over the past 50 years have warmed our planet. The industrial activities that our modern civilization depends upon have raised atmospheric carbon dioxide levels from 280 parts per million to 414 parts per million in the last 150 years. The panel also concluded there is a better than 95% probability that human-produced greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide have caused much of the observed increase in Earth temperatures over the past 50 years. Right, I will now focus on the consequences of climate change. Ladies and gentlemen, do you aware of the consequences of climate change? A lot of people think that climate change is a relatively remote problem that implies it will get hotter. However, the consequences are much deeper and must be taken more seriously. A climate change has the potential to affect the planet's entire ecosystem. In many different countries, extreme weather events are more regular and their patterns are changing. They are more intensive, aggressive, and with more energy. This means more storms, floods, cyclones, and droughts will take place over the next years. Sea level will rise 1 up to 8 feet by 2100 as a result of added water from melting land ice and the expansion of seawater as it warms. In the next several decades, storm surges and high tides could combine with sea level rise and land subsidence to further increase flooding in many regions. Ocean waters will therefore continue to warm and sea level will continue to rise for many centuries at rates equal to or higher than those of the current century. The Arctic Ocean is expected to become essentially ice-free in summer before mid-century. At the same time, forest areas, fragile ecosystems, and biodiversity are also under threat. It is no exaggeration to say that climate change poses serious challenges, not just for the environment, but for peace and security in the 21st century. It is one of the most complex issues facing us today. It involves many dimensions and is a global problem felt on local scales that will be around for decades and centuries to come. Carbon dioxide lingers in the atmosphere for hundreds of years, and the planet, especially the oceans, takes a while to respond to warming. So even if we stopped emitting all greenhouse gases today, global warming and climate change will continue to affect future generations. In this way, humanity is committed to some level of climate change. Well, since we are already committed to some level of climate change, responding to climate change involves a two-pronged approach, according to NASA. First, by reducing emissions and stabilizing the levels of heat-trapping greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, or mitigation, and adapting to climate change already in the pipeline, or adaptation. We, as a part of all of this, must do something to fight this issue. We must first reduce our greenhouse gases emissions. To accomplish this, the first step is to embrace renewable sources that are naturally replenished on a human timescale, such as sunlight, wind, rain, tides, waves, and geothermal heat, and avoid creating energy by the burning of fossil fuels. We must also make everything more efficient, because even if the energy comes from a renewable source, it still won't be carbon neutral and will still contribute to the ozone depletion. There are many other actions that you can do as individuals to fight climate change, such as protect forests and plant more trees to help stop deforestation. Better forest management can be as effective as if we stopped burning oil. Use energy wisely. Eat more meat-free meals. Green your commute, such as car share, ride a bike, take public transportations, etc. Avoid plastic product. Start making a conversation and make your voice heard. Lastly, I wish to say a word about the fact that climate change isn't a myth, a hoax, a lie, or isn't a real thing. It is 100% real. It is happening right now. The evidence is urging us to take actions. And with your help, we surely can make our planet become a better place for the next generations who are waiting in the future. Thank you.